Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor and on a makeshift cupboard. They are not particularly well organized. Most are soft covers, serialized fantastique and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Popular depictions of man versus nature by amateur naturalists T&T Harpin. Husband and wife. Widely read by people from all walks of life. Who doesn't like nature? Who doesn't want to survive? Among what is mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine cathodique for electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp. Light erotica, an international thriller about circuit benders.
Someone's made themselves a home.
Soft covers, serialized fantastique, and detective. Oh yes, under the bed, there is a rather extensive collection of critical theory, that is, dour, life non-affirming left-wing literature, published by small imprints such as Abattoir Firm and Ouzia. It's not exactly like reading.
Ouzia. I agree. Humanitarian sciences. It stands out. Not a lot of critical theory around in Ravachol West.
Your incendiary remark has failed to provoke him.
Whoever has lived here, they have some education and a certain set of interests.
Interesting. An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall to your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth.
It's cold now, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired. Downstairs, somewhere? Liquid carbon. I would imagine it takes mazout. The kind that's favored by vagrants and fuel thieves. It's been a long winter, long and cold.
If anyone stayed here, they'd need a generator. A hollow ring, the canister is empty. Dust falls from the generator and down into the ammo lift.
I don't know. I'm not a philosopher.
That is his idea of a joke. A small agony. Minuscule bones may have fractured, but it proves the point. He nods approvingly. He even smiles.
Someone with basic electrical skills has restored it in order to keep the room warm. Maybe it's the fire guy.
The wind outside picks up suddenly. Bent metal, broken glass. You are the destroyer, the Bane Kudos. You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one. A heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small.
Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
I think there's a console just southeast. Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan. Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable.
Green paint flecks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard.
The console of an antique computation device. The generator upstairs, with wires coming out, determine it here. Possibly. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radiodiffusé. It sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does.
This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer.
We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it.
The boat engine.
But officer, then we would have to swim back to the mainland. Let's just look around, okay?
The consul stands by, mutely. Urgence, ouvert. ICM? This feels familiar somehow.
It does. The RCM may descend from the ICM. It's impossible to say. It was chaos after the war. The name was good for getting people to join us. Revachol West was mostly workers and criminals.
Nice political thoughts rush through your neocortex. A mediocre athlete would pant from dragging around his body on a busted crutch. But not you. You're thinking about politics with blood dripping down your thigh.
This is better preserved than the others. You can still read the sign. No, that's the
A DeLorean era symbol of Insulinda, known as the face in the sea.
No. And
With its horns in the sky, the symbol of the commune.
after 44 years? That's not nearly enough to hide what happened here. One of these barrels was still leaking fuel, as you saw. The Insulindian Citizens Militia. It's the official name of the communals.
Sounds an awful lot like.
Yeah?
The heavy metal. A strange feeling looking at the water. Maybe you should just wander off into the sea, leave it all, and walk in with a bottle in your hand. In the rain mirror of the bay, you see Martinez reflected. Tall edifices of ruins reach into the water, like shimmering towers. And the shacks too. Pine trees and motor lorries, upside down. Islets and posts, like stepping stones, lead into the water in front of you. Go, step in. It's been too long. Yes, cold and still. But love is warm, like the inside of her mouth. Yes, 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 yes. No, no. We're not starting with that. Not now. Not this time. This thought is over. There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall.
B triple prime. This looks like a good place to shoot from.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns, and an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand, Tio Moteri. Contemporary Rivasholians prefer Druan, a local blend from the southern islands, or Astra, the legendary cigarette from Grad. Tio Moteri is favored by older men for its paper filter tips, sweet smell, and added tar.
Could be a coincidence. Or the same person has visited Lens and Anne here. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside though. If people live there, they keep it tidy. This here may also be a smoking spot.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Trepidation, a tingling feeling in your stomach. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water, the ruins look familiar. A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A and 33B. The red chimney and collapsed rear wall of the 4-story tenement in front of the whirling in rags, Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 10. The box-shaped silhouette of the whirling in rags. You see a small fleck of white on the rooftop, the upstairs window of Clausia's room, in the rain, reflecting light.
Do you have a line of sight to the window? I can see it, through the scope of a rifle. The shooter would be prone, lying on the mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure. I think we have it. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest.
Affirmative.
Nothing pointed here. Many leads pointed elsewhere.
He looks north, over the fortification, then at the mattress.
Where?
He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he feels uncomfortable suddenly.
We should move now.
this old cylindrical generator. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
A dim golden glow.
It's on.
Automatic boot. The lighting in the room turns on with a sizzle, a dim ambient orange. The dial slides under the dusty glass, dark and silent, despite the power being on. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words, "failed insula," are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head.
This is an air-gapped system. Of air, I think they call it. That won't work. We are better off looking for a mechanical solution, if we need one at all.
The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. A sudden wave of anxiety makes your skin crawl.
After you. So did I. Not back there, but I felt it since we came here. I don't know.
An old man, wearing tracksuit trousers, leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours, unclouded by cataracts. His eyesight is sharp.
My eyesight? Yes, helps me see all the shit.
A shudder of disgust passes his left side. His right side remains motionless.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a 3-Angong 446.
Southeast Samaran made. Exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid. You heard me. It's good now, like chalk wiped from the board.
He's right. Almost no one remembers there was a third metastasis of the world revolution in the Safrate Empire. extinguished in '06.
They wouldn't like hearing their name in your mouth. Damn dog. I did. And you opened it. How? I should have burned that console down. The boat engine. On the water. The what now? I can't hear you. I may have. All sorts of little rats have come.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up.
The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
The lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's forehead.
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold.
His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. They say Triangong 4.46, Sin Yao Commune, for Safre and for all mankind. This is the Vulgate Seraïs. You can barely intuit the words.
What does it say?
That's what the little guys told us. Every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go on and on about their Safri, their mankind, and Mazov. Those men were commandos. They weren't shit on a stick like us. They were small and...
On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burned into the wood. Triangong, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
Jacketed, military-grade ammunition, stable in flight, good for hitting something that's very, very far away.
As he speaks, he stresses every word. He's
Worn, personalized even. Looks like this weapon has seen a lot of use, hasn't it, sir?
no response from the old man. The plastic cape around his shoulders. The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession in time.
Real music. It's La Revacholière, you shit-licking bougie dog.
Marching song.
There you go. 1 of 3. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history.
In Sinyao, they sang Boy with a Scythe, Golden Sun.
I fucking know what they sang. I watched those little fuckers die in my arms. Little one, you don't fucking tell me what they sang. How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits, right?
So, if I can shoot rabbits, then I can shoot fascists too. Those are the next lines.
What are you talking about?
He doesn't recognize it. Embers going out.
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the...
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the Army of the Revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in... I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of my...
51 minus 8 equals 43.
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was an resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. How does anyone survive? I steal.
Now hold on there.
Supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like...
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns.
You also have Druamine.
I have been running out of that stuff. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of I don't even know what. Inferno? No wonder. All your minds are rotting from the radio waves. I watched the traitors of this city turn the lights back on. More, it's disgusting.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
I was just 16 years old. 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took for reaction to take hold. Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men. May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky. The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon. But I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going. I ran. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers underground, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened of the ordnance all night and the sound of the rotors in the morning. Airships. I climbed out. Into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love, all the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to, and then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. That the bourgeois are not human.
The old man does not say more. Those black eyes of his keep piercing you as he looks to some great distance and shakes his head slowly, retreating from it.
It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequencies dead. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed a lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground. I do. They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century. I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs.
He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting. The old man looks across the water.
It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls an operation against 50 million people Deathblow? You don't know. You haven't seen it. It's the Black-Eyed Angel.
Shaitan Ahura, the Darkened One.
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said.
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
If the party had surrendered, then it would not be the party. You're insane. Radio shows, speed racing, Sporting goods? No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not like you belong to the Moralist Party. 43 years and 10 months. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing.
Two police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering.
Always waiting. For her to return.
Her who?
Girl child. Revolution. I am not a fool. I know. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore. However, there's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce. I've used it for killing people.
Here we go. A trail of blood. The lieutenant smells it too.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Going straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
I don't want to tell you.
And why did you think that was a good idea? Don't listen to me. I'm wrong.
What did I just say?
What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now. Nothing comes to you. Silence.
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do.
Exhaust him with proof. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. You got it. Remember, the boot prints were like no modern soul. Maybe don't beat yourself anymore, though. You're not immortal.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what
Show me the souls, please, Mr. Dros.
fucking imbecile?
The maker is called Sensory. You see their V-shaped logo, but can't make out the size. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned souls you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the soul.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters?
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
Damn Mayvels. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly, nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Classier.
He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
With the victim. I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You damn diligent.
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dros. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fasces for fascists. Done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope.
Forget forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Right.
Leave no stone unturned. Get him on what matters most.
Not a lot of guns around that use military.
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going again.
Damn, he saw you. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? .46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this.
Murder. You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood. Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the 100.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle?
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the shit.
And if you don't like it, then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers. Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. Because of the racists, everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the pump full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that social... Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. Intense, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Koyamorang, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them. We did good when we pushed him under the horse car, until, in the 30s, those disco whores.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the Union's top brass.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the that mobster toad couldn't run a shithouse. He has no political education. His twin, Edgar Clare, that one's been to one of those East Revachol universities. He talks a big game about uprising and alienation, and first against the wall with him.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to.
I haven't approached anyone. I've hid.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. 20 years ago, neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzov. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hang the man for them, but he's insinuating something.
Glad? It's all gone. I ain't going anywhere. Minions of capital. What do you want?
His lip curls into a snare at the memory. The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
Hey,
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark.
that bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation and money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
Bordering on sentimentality, it drips out of him, tempered by something familiar to you. A familiar rage.
She was, and she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muscova bag over her shoulder that she'd called in, they say, on the eve of battle. Ran away, vanished like a piss stain.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not. She couldn't make the call herself
Here it is, the bend in the river.
because she was dead.
Just say nothing.
The cow caught a bullet in her right lung, fell into the canal grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled? Hard to say. It was a sloppy job, and a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her and the ruins. Someone shot her, or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is
Another big spike of rage, different from the one he has for her.
nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising, just words. The Union fizzled.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Goat shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I saw it happen, and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fight for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that guy. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, click-clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot's plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A petank maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them, that one. Fat and plump, like a pheasant, just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me.
He whispers with such predatory hunger, it borders on longing.
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day, the blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him there lately. Must be down with arthritis. Oh, cunt.
Momentarily, he's worried for him. He reminds him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of another thing, but no. It's just the...
Syphilis is a disease Philip III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually...
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those... What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest, working-class plastic. Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given...
Wait, the bullet hole in Philippe's heart. The statue had been shot. That was him. It had to be. He's already proven capable of taking a far more complicated shot from here.
I did. A needless, sentimental gesture. I should have spared the bullet for a deformed monster of liberal capitalism. Shameful, really.
Yes, shameful. So many others to punish over the years. Isn't that right, detective?
The fat union man let the horse. Glad. It's all gone. Them fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself. Drugged out.
For him to stop reacting to stimuli, to be broken off from the world, cordoned into darkness.
And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second. Writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
This man has seen past her, like you did.
Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
And beautiful.
That, too.
How could you see what she looked like? You said it was...
The sun came up. Her hair was like cobwebs. She smoked more fags and snorted a line of whatever shit she was on, right there. She needed it just to move. Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
After she was gone,
Did you keep the documents in it?
no, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to found. No, I mean, in the water, behind the campsite there. I don't remember precisely. It was in the winter. I did. She had a face like an archipelago with those birthmarks, and a body hard, and I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises. You can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Everything in him fills with impossible longing, all at once.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife. Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of one more loose end down.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good...
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope. There's...
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like...
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. No. I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the court the day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. Maybe, I told you, I have holes in my brain now.
A sudden pang of regret.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws one more down.
Her.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Classier? I haven't seen her there for days. Good for her. That girl kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, this last week, kept staring at the island at night, crying or smoking on the roof, like she knew I was here. It doesn't matter.
He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out. The old man has fallen silent, staring at your feet. The burnt logs in the fire are moist from the sea air. The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like, for a 60-year-old, he's prone to erratic hand gestures. The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like, what strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. It's precisely, indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, it's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. Is it some kind of substance damage? Like he's addicted to something? Not only the painkillers he's clearly on.
No. I won't be stuffed full of shit.
You said you take painkillers.
I take them to cope with pain. The people of this city use painkillers.
Are you sure about him being lucid? Maybe it's not a downer, rather an upper.
I don't know what that is. Like some kind of decadent rock star. No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm...
There it is again. Erratic hand motions. But could it be a symptom of overdosing on something? Something even you have not tried?
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But... No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Pupils are dilated too. Eyes getting blacker and blacker.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
You thought you heard something.
Maybe we could all fit in there. Actually, no. Not really. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us can take him inland while...
But then, who watches him while you're coming back here?
You come back for me? How about I go and send a...
What is this farce?
Lillian, you could ask her maybe.
This is no harmless old man.
This fucking world. This world.
No, listen. Listen now.
Okay, how about I take him to the precinct and you wait on the island?
This world.
The wind is cold. Your skin is crawling suddenly. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to the...
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eye. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can see, but that means it's really there, spinning slowly.
Be very, very careful.
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head like a woman's hair. Reed-like tufts stick out.
We can't just leave it standing there. We have to do something.
You've never seen him get this excited. His voice is almost trembling. Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps toward the phasmid. The creature lets out like laughter, a sort of happiness. Sweat drips from your brow. The tracheal system on the creature's abdomen expands in front of you to take in and expel air. It's smelling you. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antennae to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water.
Okay.
There is no change in the insect's motion while it's...
In 3. If it moves, you jump back. I'll shoot. Here we go.
The shrill flash of the camera cuts the air like the blade of a sword. The phasmid freezes in its bright light.
I got it.
Immortalized. The antennae hang from a great height. With your hand shaking, you barely touch the tip of the left whisker. On contact, the chitin curls into a spiral, like the tip of a poison ivy. The sensation is electrifying. It is surprisingly delicate, the curly end of the whisker, like...
Be careful, detective. It's moving.
You were right. It glistens with some kind of moisture. The creature in front of you stays frozen. It tastes like sugar, very faint, odorless, mostly comprised of water. The limb before you is incredibly light, like eggshell. It's much lighter than a reed. You feel a soft push could tip the creature over. Its hollow exoskeleton collapsing. A sudden shiver passes the limb. Looks like some sort of countdown process is happening. That's all you have time to think. Another shudder pulses through the creature's limbs. It jolts back to life, like a...
Maybe it is real.
The insect's head is crowned with reed-like scales, the shape of seed heads. Breathing you in, your sour, greasy, semiochemicals. The insect stops its stridulation, seeming to observe you. Suddenly, there is no stop. Be afraid. The invertebrate comes back to life, stridulating. Sets of complex eyes follow you, moving in tandem on either side of the insect's small head. No reply. A total ancient silence comes. You were right. Little bubbles form on the mouth parts of the creature, on its segment.
Careful. It may be poisoned.
The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel.
I exist. Tell me what it's like for you. Yes, holy is the Lord of hosts, and all the earth. Now, I will tell you what it's like for me. For me, it is a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness, shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations, a swarm of sounds. I am at the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light, it only feels like something to be me. In truth, perhaps I'm nothing. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would never ache. Few of us can begin to imagine the horror of you, with all of creation reflected in your forebrain. It must be like the highest of hells, a kaleidoscope of fire and writhing glass, even when you're sleeping. And when you wake, you carry it around on your neck, with eyes open that cannot help but swallow more behind the mirror. I feel great, mute, and pitiful. That must be incredibly hard. The arthropods are in silent and meaningless awe of you. Know that we're watching. When you're tired, when the vision spins out of control, and when you fall, we will come to raise you up. Bud from you, banner-like, blossom from you and carry you apart in a sky funeral, in honor.
Detective, arriving.
So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect? He's in a bad state, deteriorating fast now. He thinks I am beneficial to him, but I am very slowly, and only because he won't go away. It is meant to keep them from noticing me, to interfere with the picture in your head, but he has looked at me for too long, and I am destroying him. No, you're awake. I am real. Light is forming me. Not even the birds know that. Not even a water lily. I think we should eat it. If it's a leaf, you can put it in your mouth. Or read. I am an unknown species of the order Phantasmodia, endemic to the Insulandian Isoma. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play.
It may have unknown, dangerous biochemical characteristics that...
No, no one believed I exist. Almost no one. Until you came, detective, dripping of blood that smells like strawberries. Across the calm sea, the first in 1,000 years. I have stayed hidden through 4 forms of government and 2 scientific revolutions until I was accidentally discovered by a detective. Yes, I do not have a starter display, so I use a neurodegenerative element to aid in camouflage. Do not worry, it is only destructive over long periods of time.
The deserter. He's been here for a long time.
No, you are. The moral of our encounter is, I am a relatively medium life form, while it is you who are told the tale too came with you. No one remembers it before you. The Nidarians do not. The radially symmetrics do not. There is an almost unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that you are going to destroy us all. It is a nervous shadow cast into the world by you, eating away at reality. A great, unnatural territory. Its advent coincides with the arrival of the human mind. You're a violent and irrepressible miracle. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you. Give me enough time, you will wipe us all out and replace us with nothing. We suspect it will be something like the oxygen holocaust that wiped out anaerobic life 2.6 billion years when organisms...
Instead of air, you exhale thoughts. There are no trees that eat thoughts.
Everything your eyes touch goes back there, behind the nose mirror. What if you blink? Are we still here? Please don't blink. What if he misplaces us all one day, or just forget? So it is already happening. Soon, one of you will close your eyes and open them to see that none of this ever existed.
It doesn't look like that, no. You're just staring at it. I think you should back away from the unstudied species now.
No, there is one more. Thank you. I also have one final thing to say to you. That woman, turn from the ruin. Turn and go forward. She was middle class. It doesn't take a 3-meter stick insect to tell you that.
As you're turning away, the phasmid mirrors your movements, stepping on the water, the long limbs carrying its feather weight without breaking its surface. And just like that, it's gone, skating away across the sea's calm mirror like a skipping stone. And something under it, in the place it stood, bobbing
It's gone. Looks like a nest of some sort. We should have looked. Apparently, yes, like a water strider. Only, I've never seen anything.
What now?
in some kind of strange, semi-catatonic state.
Our suspect is not looking so good. We need to check on him.
What is it? What do you want from me? See.
Mr. Dross?
The man does not respond. He keeps staring, like an addict of some terrible substance. A light shiver passes him.
He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. The good news is, this solves our transportation.
The trembling mouth appears.
Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it's safe to leave him here, while we go and get help. It will need to be medical first, I'm afraid. Old age and shock. Yes, the arrest and the appearance of the Phasmid, the combined stress. But you
There's much more. Remember what it said when it spoke.
he was energetic and articulate. It does not seem to be animated now it's left. Honestly, I'm ready to believe anything at this point. I mean, why not? It's 3 meters tall. You mean pheromonum? The scope, knowing of her bruises, his disposition to... like a drug? His pupils appear to be dilated. You should be more careful, detective. Are you sure it wasn't having an effect on you? A valid hunch. Long-term exposure to something that could be part of the shock.
No response.
Then how did we see it? Oh, you mean, whatever does this, does it over time? Teenagers, kids? The doctors will have to look at this. He did seem distressed when it finally came to... I have absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope I remember all of this. This will be...
No one would believe you without it. He stares into the reeds. Nothing. Just the last embers.
If Kuno kicked it into the sea, as he said he did, the ebb would put it back here. This makes sense. Mr. Dross could have picked it up. Or the Phasmid even.
I lost.
He turns his eyes to the reeds again. As he's done so.
He lost the scope. Then it somehow made its way over there. With the help of a magpie Phasmid. This site is a T9, Mr. Dross. Was it a...
Silence. You've gotten all you will out of this poor... The plastic cape flaps around his face. The strength has all gone out of him.
We should think about getting back to the mainland.